Based on Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus, the 5th emperor of Rome from the 1st century, the servant Nero Claudius of Fate Extella Link is a powerful saber-class servant with pride to spare. As one of your most loyal servants, Nero brings her swift sword arm and fine-tuned techniques to bear for you. But how does she compare to the rest of the cast? Let's take a look at what she can do and find out where she stacks up. Like much of the rest of the cast, Nero has a 5-attack normal string. She will slash left, right, thrust forward, do 2 series of dashes forward with many swipes, and then finish with a somersault slash. Overall, this is a pretty strong normal string, but I'm not so hot on the 4th part where she attacks forward twice. During this animation, you cannot pivot your direction, and although in the grand scheme of things, this isn't the biggest offense, I don't like how this can change where you want to be for her final unique attack, which is usually the point of going so far in a normal string. As I said, it's pretty good, but it does have that one annoying little niggle. Let's jump forward to her unique attacks and see how she holds up. For her heavy attack, she will simply step forward while making one big slash. This attack is able to knock your enemy slightly back, which can make it a very good spacer. This is either to escape or to set up a longer series of strikes following it. Next up, her C2 is a launcher of course, with her preparing her sword before doing a backflip attack, jumping into the air along with her enemy. Her aerial attacks can be added in from there, with her having the very typical 2 attacks and a slam back down on the spot. This is a fine version of the typical aerial riser, but I really don't like the short build-up that she has before going into the air. It's a little bit slow compared to other servants, and it can be a brief opening where you can be knocked out of this attack by your enemies. For her C3, Nero will ready herself before doing spinning slashes forward. The way this hits your enemy's back can be a good setup for an active skill, but I usually look for better options when I'm playing as Nero. Next up, she will do a huge spinning attack, traveling a very long distance in front of her while moving very fast. You are able to pivot where this attack goes if you change your direction just after her 3rd normal attack, but you can't change it once she has already started the animation. In my opinion, this is one of her best unique attacks, with it being both safe to use and highly damaging. It's also pretty easy to lure your enemy into this by attacking before they're anywhere close, making it easily repeatable and a good bit of cheese. Her last unique attack is a simple one, with her just doing one giant attack with a sword that sends its slash a small ways forward. This, a lot like Charlemagne's C5, is a great attack. I always like these giant attacks that come out super fast. Unfortunately, there is an issue here, and it's linked to what I brought up in the normal attack section. Her C5 can only be performed after doing those 2 stupid dashes forward, and with how the slash that comes from her sword doesn't fly out very far at all, it can be a little bit annoying to try to hit anyone that you didn't carry along in your previous attacks. Overall, I'd have to say that Nero has a slightly average collection of unique attacks. Many of them are extremely quick, with only her C2 coming up as a bit short in speed. Still, the power of her C4 is unquestionable, and it was just as much a powerhouse in Fate Extella the Umbral Star. Her C1 and C3 are better used just to set up an active skill, so why don't we go ahead and take a look at what she has there. As always, I'm going to give a quick rundown of the skills alongside their official descriptions, before getting into my own tips for builds. Today for Nero Claudius, I'm also going to be doing my best to pronounce some of these. 1. Rosa Ichthys. A curtain of falling flowers blasts a shockwave forward. 2. Fervence Ardeo. Slam your sword into the ground, causing an explosion. 3. Tempestus Primavera. Perform a 4-hit zigzag combo. 4. Tre Fontaine Tempest. Summon rose thorns, which stun any enemy they strike. 5. Tre Fontaine Claudio. Whips a tornado of roses around you, damaging the enemy while also healing you. 6. Tre Fontaine Ardente. Briefly lights your blade on fire, adding the flame element and extra damage to attacks. And 7. Gladiosonus Blacerum, a 3-hit combo which includes a flame shockwave. Right off the bat, I have to say that Tre Fontaine Tempest is an obvious choice. Stunning is fantastic in many situations, not the least of which is helping set up for a rush attack after you've accrued many hits against another servant. Next up, I personally always include a buff like Tre Fontaine Ardente, but without the extra range or speed that some of these other support type active skills add, you might just want to leave the rest of your 3 slots open for more attack skills. While her attack skills in general are all fine choices, only Tre Fontaine Claudio stands out as rather unappealing, and this is due to its low damage, slow speed, and the fact that its healing properties are just not that helpful in a game which gives you tons of free healing through combat and plentiful code casts. Between Fervence Ardeo and Tempestus Primavera, her two Saber class skills which are important for ensuring rush attacks, I would personally recommend the former over the latter. Nero already has enough crazy movement built into her attacks to more than take care of crowd clearing, so a faster, more focused active skill is far more useful, especially when it comes to setting up those rush attacks. With nothing extra to add about her drive skill and Noble Phantasm, let's stop and take a step back so we can fully admire the full glory of this Roman emperor in her entirety. Despite Nero Claudius taking a backseat in the story of this game compared to her very large role in the Umbral Star, she nevertheless continues to be a fantastic character to start out with for all players. Even though her playstyle is rather conventional, she spices it up with her collection of high-flying and speedy saber moves that can make her feel like one of the fastest characters in the game. Overall, I'd have to say the 5th Emperor of Rome is worthy of all the respect she claims. While I definitely don't think she's one of the absolute best characters, she is definitely above the curve and is a strong choice in many of your battles. All hail Emperor Nero.
Strength and honor.
Brothers! What we do in life echoes in eternity.
I'd like to give a special thank you to my top patrons Minute Rice, Henry Gutierrez, and Ignis Isel, as well as everybody else who's currently supporting me on Patreon. Thank you all very much.